Hello, my loves. Welcome into this reading for the Aries new moon, part 2 solar eclipse. This reading is for you if this new moon is happening in your 7th house, meaning you're a Libra rising using the whole house system, or that 29 degrees, 50 minutes of Aries shows up in your 7th house if you're using another house system. Welcome in. If you have not already watched the introduction to this reading, I highly recommend it so that you don't get lost in the weeds of what it is that we're talking about here. This is a different reading and topic than I've offered before, although I have offered some of this understanding in some of the readings as it has been relevant. But this season, because of the hugeness of the solar eclipse energy, I was really invited to step out of my comfort zone and share with you this understanding that I have that I think is critically important for us to understand as a human species at this moment, and a really important piece of information for us to have to get back to the wise instinctive knowing that exists within ourselves, which is what I'm always guiding you to. If you want to learn more about this information that I'm sharing here, you can watch the interview, which is an hour-long video with the author of the book Freedom and the biologist who came up with this discovery of the true origins of our human species and the implications that this has for humanity and the explanation that it provides for the psychosis and the neurosis that we've been living in as a collective species for 2 million years. It also evidences the 10 million years of altruistic genetic adaptation that our species had in selfless, loving, nurturing environment prior to the 2 million years of upset that we've been living through. So, that being said, let's talk about the 7th house. The 7th house is the house of one-on-one relationships, ruled by the sign of Libra, 7th sign of the zodiac. It deals with the areas of our life that involve long-term partners. It involves marriage, enemies, contracts, and business partnerships. So this is the area of your life that I'm going to be weaving this advice into and really using to highlight and to really give a focal point for how to talk about, for you specifically, how to free yourself from the human condition and what the human condition, how the human condition relates to this area of your life. We are going to review the card that we got in Act 1 of these readings, which was Visualize Success. It says, see yourself doing well in this situation and have faith in a positive outcome. And we apply that to your one-on-one relationships, whatever one-on-one relationship and dynamic that you had that you wanted to see working out positively. We talked about how visualization can help you achieve that aim. Now I'm going to add to this in a deeper way. So a lot of times it's hard for us to know, to really believe that we have the power of thought and that our focus really matters when we don't have an understanding that gives us hope. So what I really feel the human condition content is offering you in this situation is an explanation for what has happened in your one-on-one relationships. All of the ones that have gone sour in your life, all the ones that you have considered successes in your life. And this understanding can really bring so much depth and healing to your one-on-one relationships that it'll be easy for you to visualize them successfully working out. So if you've done the work of visualizing it successfully working out without knowing how, here's the how that we're going to bring in now. And again, remember, this is a 6-month cycle. So we're going to be talking about this information and energy for 6 months, really applying this understanding for a 6-month period. It took me 6 months to share this information publicly. I've been studying this content since October 1st, 2022. So this is something that does take a while to understand and digest, but hopefully as more and more of us understand this material, it'll be easier and easier to share and spread. So let's talk about the one-on-one relationships that you've had that have been a source of pain for you in your life. With the understanding of the human condition content and material, it really helps bring such depth of compassion to our lives and to our relationships. So I've started seeing basically everyone that I interact with as children, and seeing the ways that their child was not nurtured in the way that our genetics expected, which was basically unconditional love, acceptance, and attention from 0 to 6 in an environment where there's no competition and there's plenty of resources. So we expected that coming in to this experience of life, and none of us got that. So I've started seeing everyone that I'm interacting with as, at the core, seeing that child within, and then seeing how the human condition and their experience of the human condition has really shaped who they've become and how they've acted. Remember that there's different ways that we seek validation, because when we didn't get the nurturing as a child, we thought maybe there's something wrong with us. So now we're going to seek validation from other people constantly, because validation only lasts a split second before we need it again to validate ourselves. Whereas if we had gotten that unconditional love and nurturing from 0 to 6, validation would have been intrinsic to our understanding of ourselves. We would have been 100% validated and never needed anything from the outside world again to offer us that validation. So sometimes the way people seek validation can trigger you. I've realized that the people who've triggered me most in my life have been people who seek validation in ways that are similar to mine. I can't face the disgust that I have, the judgment that I have for how they're seeking validation, because I do the same thing. And it's hard for me to love that in them because I don't love it in myself. Because it's not my instinctual self. It's not my true self. It's a lie that I've been perpetuating. And this person is bringing it forward for me to look at, find it within, and move on from. But without this understanding, it's really difficult to find it, heal it, love it, and move through it. So that's the lens that I'm inviting you to look at your one-on-one relationships with. Also look at coping mechanisms. There's different ways that people cope with the human condition. They run from the human condition. They suppress their psychosis and their neurosis with hobbies, habits, substances, all of these different ways. And some of them are socially acceptable and some of them are socially unacceptable. Regardless of their social acceptability, they're all coming from the same core place, the same core wounding that we all as a human species share. And so in your one-on-one relationships that have been super difficult, especially ones where there's been a lot of judgment and a lot of coping that have been very destructive to you as an individual, bringing in this sense of understanding also opens us to a huge level of compassion for these individuals, for these innocent children who came into this world expecting nurturing, expecting an unconditionally loving environment, and not knowing what to do, not knowing how to cope when that's not what they encountered, and questioning the entire time whether they didn't encounter it because they did something wrong, and dealing with that pain, the conflict between their instinct and intellect, and the various ways that they've dealt with that. And to the degree that their innocence was attacked by the caregivers that they experienced, that's the degree to which they attacked your innocence. And it's time for a huge forgiveness from humanity for our human family and the things that we've done, and the really painful, angry, destructive, greedy, jealous, manipulative, selfish ways that we've interacted with each other on one-on-one basis. And so there's this visualized success message for you, where even if you can't get there right now, even if I'm presenting to you something that seems absolutely impossible and beyond the scope of what you're able to do, this visualized success card comes back in and says, just see your relationship with this person working out for the best, and feel what that would feel like. And again, maybe you don't know the specifics, but the understanding will come in layers and levels that will help you to move forward, that will help you to really grasp the absolute understanding and forgiveness and compassion that comes with a true awareness of what it is that we've been through as a species, what our loved ones, what our one-on-one relationships have been through, why they've been so difficult for us, and really shift our dynamic with these people, allowing us to come into deeper relationship, stronger relationships, and remembering that our species instinctually wants to cooperate, wants to act selflessly and lovingly towards each other. And no matter how far we've gotten from that on an individual level, we all have the capacity within us to turn that around. So the less we can judge each other and the more we can love each other, obviously using discernment to keep us in situations that are safe and supportive, but also opening up that door for maybe this person could change. Maybe this person really will be able to see themselves as an innocent being who has always been worthy, who has made mistakes, who has been in the middle of a war that is now coming to an end, and maybe they too want to lay down their weapons and come join us. And to make space for that possibility, I think, is really important, and to visualize that happening successfully for both people, I think, is really the core crux of this message for you and your mission for the next 6 months, should you choose to accept it. Yep. That's all I got for you. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know how this resonates. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste.